Okay, this is a spoiler-filled review of the movie Tusk. This movie, the last 30 minutes, you're going to be thinking, what the fuck? It starts off like any other Kevin Smith movie. Really good dialogue between characters. You got the dick main character who making a lot of money doing podcasts, and they exploit people who are less fortunate. In the very beginning of the movie, they're exploiting. They're talking about him and his buddy. I think Terry. That's the Haley Joel Osment character. They're They're doing their podcast about some guy who accidentally cuts off his own leg. It's a lot like that kid in that famous video where he was flinging around the baton or something like Darth Maul. Well, this kid's doing katana, and so he's spinning it. They're watching this video, and then the kid cuts his own leg off. And at first you're like, wait, is this real? Because the special effects aren't very good. It shows the blood spurt, his leg coming off, and but it's supposed to be real. But the first thing when you're watching it in the movie theater, you're like, wait a second, all right, it's real, but the special effects really weren't good in that part. Let me see here. So he gets a call to go interview the kid who cut off his leg. The Kill Bill kid is what his name is. So they go to he goes to Canada to meet this kid and make fun of him to his face. Anyways, he gets there and the kid has killed himself. So now he's all upset. The main character, Justin Long's character, Wallace, which is really close to Walrus. And he gets there. He's like, "What? The kid died? Now what am I going to do? I just spent $500 on a plane ticket." So he's not really happy about that. And then he's in a bar at night and he sees above the urinal in the men's room, this bulletin board full of stuff, and he sees this one letter from the villain, the crazy psychopath, who says, "Hey, I've lived a long life full of adventures, and I want to share my stories before I die." So he goes to visit the psychopath, and he tells him these cool stories about meeting Ernest Hemingway, and Project Neptune, or not D-Day, but the attack before D-Day, way in the past, and how he meets Ernest Hemingway, and how he finds they're able to get this walrus pubic or penis bone or something, and so he's playing around with that. And the whole time that he meets the villain, he's drinking this tea, and he loves the tea. And the villain says, it's you who lace the tea leaves with bourbon or brandy. Anyways, he's getting more tired and more tired. You see that when they're cutting the scene together, that there's a couple shots where he should be in these shots. You should see Justin Long's character constantly getting more tired and more tired. But they cut to one shot of him nodding, listening, and you see that it's out of order. It's just a little thing. Anyways, he eventually passes out, and he wakes up in a chair the next day. And this is the creepy part. This might be the coolest scene in the whole movie. The villain has done this before with other people, but you don't find that part out till the end. Anyways, he's trying to convince Justin Long that he was bitten by a brown recluse spider, and his leg had swollen up, so he has the local doctor amputate his left leg from the knee down. Now, Justin Long is way out of it because of all the tranquilizers that the villain's given him. And Justin Long is like, "Hey, why am I in this wheelchair? Why am I strapped down?" He sees the leg. He's like, "Where's my leg? I need to call for help." He says, "Oh, you can't." Anyways, the scene where the villain is trying to give all these reasons why he can't call for help, why there's nobody around, why he needs to be here in his house, doctor's orders, and it's really it's insane. That really might be the coolest scene. Anyways, later on in the day, they're having dinner together, and then Justin Long figures it out, and he says, "You're a fucking psychopath. Get me out of here!" Screams, and the villain taunts back at him and stuff, and he says, "Hey, you're gonna be a walrus, or you're gonna be dead," which is just insane. Anyways, the next day rolls around. He cuts off the other leg, and then just by the knees, and then he sews his elbows to his sides so he can't move away, his arms. the whole time this is going on, right before he gets knocked out and they do more damage to him, or the villain does more damage to him, he's able to call his girlfriend and his best friend, who happen to be having an affair together, which, at the end of the day, the best friend knows that Justin Long's character, Wallace, is cheating on his girlfriend. And the kid's just, cheating on his best friend with the girlfriend, so nobody's in this movie is really innocent. But these are these are the protagonists, Anyways, where the heck was I? So they're trying to find their buddy Justin Long. So they're fine. It's almost like a Scooby-Doo movie mystery at one point. Anyways, it gets worse for Justin Long's character. Towards the end of the movie, he gets put in inside a walrus size, a real walrus size costume made of human flesh. All the stitches and stuff almost looks like Jigsaw from Punisher movies, like the way it's stitched together. And you see his eyes, and you see his teeth inside there, but he's got like these tusks and stuff, and like it's a whole mask. Like the only part that you can see is like you can see his eyes and like his teeth, and he's in like this little sideshow type of aquarium thing you'd see at a local SeaWorld. And the villain's like, hey, now Mr. Tusk, he calls him Mr. Tusk, which is insane. And you see him there, he's in the walrus suit, in his back legs, just like a walrus, are really close together, and he's chained them together, and he like pulls on the chain, and he falls into the water, says, now you have to learn to swim. And then he throws a fish at him the next day. He's like, hey, now you have to eat or die. So he starts to eat this fish that gets thrown there with his teeth, and somehow he's able to reach it with these tusks in the way. And then the good guys, the girlfriend and the buddy, are getting closer and closer, and they meet a former detective in the Quebec police who's retired, and his sole journey is to find a serial killer, which happens to be the main guy, Howard Howe. And that scene was really cool, where Justin Long's Wallace meets Howard Howe, and he calls him Mr. Howard, and Howard Howe prefers Howard. It's a cool little interchange. And throughout the whole movie, there are these little clips of they go back in time, so you meet the character in his little interactions between the girlfriend and the boyfriend, or the best friend. Anyways, so they meet Johnny Depp, who's got some cool makeup on, and he's almost like Inspector Clouseau meets Christopher Waltz's character from Inglourious Bastards. Very polite, like you would be in Canada, and but a little weird. Anyways, they're able to track down through a lot of exposition. They're able to track down to the house, and they're able to hear the screams coming from inside. So both the good guys, the girlfriend and the best friend, have a gun, and they race in to save Wallace. Before I tell you the very ending, Johnny Depp tells the two guys, the two kids, hey, I think I met this person, this villain, years ago. And they play out that scene. They do a flashback, and they show Johnny Depp's Inspector character meeting Howard Howe, who's going by an alias in a different part of Canada, and that scene is insanely great. Watching this movie, it was really neat. It was like I was watching a part Quentin Tarantino movie, part Robert Rodriguez, and 80% Kevin Smith, or maybe 70% because of all the gore and the scary stuff. To the very end of the movie, the villain dresses up in his own walrus suit, and he's like bumping in on the little platform surrounded by water. He's bumping into Wallace. He's saying, hey, we're walruses together. It's insane. Oh, right before that, he's like laying next to Wallace the walrus, and Wallace can't do anything. He's in this costume. He's just there, and the villain's just leaning up against him. Anyway, so the very end, the villain says, hey, it's you or me. And they start fighting. And they're both in the walrus costumes made of human flesh, which is just insane. Anyways, the villain finally says, you know, I'm gonna kill you if you don't kill me. So Wallace takes his head and goes down really hard with his tusks and stabs the villain in the foot, which hurts the villain. The villain falls down, and Wallace stabs him in the chest with his tusks and kills him. The heroes get in. Johnny Depp gets into the room. They see what's going on. Johnny Depp points the gun at the camera, and then it goes black. A year later, the girlfriend and the best friend go back to the same house, and it says Wildlife Sanctuary. They go to the back of the house, and there's a pen, like it's a pool with like a, you know, with a giant, you know, like animal shelter, and they're like, hey, Wallace, he won't come out. So they throw him a fish, and then Wallace comes out. He's like so mentally screwed up that he thinks he's a walrus now. And he comes out, he eats the fish, and he looks up, and I think he has tears coming out of his eyes, but that's really screwed up. And they got to a clip of somebody saying at the end, the only difference between us and animals is that we cry when someone we love dies, and you see Wallace like crying, but he's still in the outfit, and they say, hey, we miss you, we love you, and Wallace doesn't even talk, he just barks or arfs. So anyways, so that's it. That's a spoiler-filled movie. Do you see the villain die? No. Could they bring him back in a sequel of some kind? Yes. I mean, you do see him get bludgeoned or stabbed to death with these tusks, but technically he could come back to life. They don't show him get killed off at all, really. Maybe 30% chance of survival. Johnny Depp's character survives. Everybody survives. It's gruesome. But there you have it. I would watch it again. I'd have at least 1 bottle of wine or 4 beers in me before I watch it again. But there's some really awesome scenes, like when Johnny Depp meets the villain, and when Justin Long wakes up and the villain is trying to tell him why he's stuck and why he's missing his leg. Those might be my favorite 2 scenes. Anyways, go see it. It's a trip. See you later.